Welcome to the new episode of Next Creators. Today we have a Blaze from Cheddar.
Hi there.
Hey, nice to see you. So first of all, what is Cheddar?
Cheddar is it's the first loyalty network on Near. And what we're really trying to do with Cheddar is create an ecosystem that supports the DApps on Near through adoption. So the idea with Cheddar is it can be used three ways. It can be used really as a power up to a DApp. Let's say you're in a game and you need a little bit of an extra boost. Cheddar might give you that boost. It can also be used as a discount or a form of payment, or the other two. And really, what we want to do is promote DApps on Near in general. Um, as Cheddar goes live, we'll have partnerships with DApps and find ways to use Cheddar throughout the Near ecosystem for folks.
Nice. That's cool. Thank you for this introduction. We'll go into Cheddar shortly. Wanted to first also take a step back, kind of understand your background too. So where did you grow up?
Yeah, so I grew up kind of within the Midwest here, within Kansas. So I've been here for most of my life, and that's where I'm at today. So
That's cool. And when did you get into like technical side of things?
I had an interest in computers in my teenage years, and they were just coming out with all of the computers back then. So the early IBMs and green screens and things like that. So that was my first intro, and then when I was in my early 20s, I decided that it was a career I wanted to look into. So I started taking networking and computer classes and became certified and things like that, and then got a job actually doing PC support initially at Learjet here. Wichita, where I'm from, is known as the aircraft capital of the world. So we have lots of aircraft companies here. So I started in IT there, moved on to becoming a programmer. Was a programmer there for many years, building Web 2, basically database oriented web applications, and kind of been doing that since. And now I'm into blockchain. So that was a natural progression for me.
Nice. And when and how did you encounter crypto? Do you remember for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, as far as crypto, I mean, it was back in probably 2013, I think, is when I first heard about Bitcoin and really started experimenting with it. It was early enough back then that you could actually mine on your computer. So I mined some Bitcoin, actually a quarter of a Bitcoin back then, just on my PC. And that kind of was the intro. Then I pretty much did nothing for a couple of years and came back to it after a while and really started getting engaged. And I found Near Protocol from a Google News article. So I was subscribed to Google News. I was always looking at crypto, watching what was going on with Ethereum and all these things, and saw Near Protocol there. So that's how I got introduced to Near.
That's cool. Do you remember what was the news about?
It was that you guys had just raised at that point, I think, the 24 million. That Near had raised 24 million, and I thought, oh, this looks interesting. And then looked a little bit further and saw that they had a U.S. arm as well out of San Francisco, and so I was like, okay, this is, you're always looking for the next Google. So, and I believe Near is the next Google, but that's a personal opinion. So I dove in, and the model looked right to me. So I started looking at a lot of different blockchains, and the model looked right with Near. So I stayed with Near and have been building ever since.
That's cool. And did you decide to try a couple different things before Cheddar, or was Cheddar pretty much the first thing you tackled?
I mean, I think, probably what I spent a lot of time doing was a validator program within Near to begin with. So, I became a Near validator and kind of went through the training. I launched a guild called the Open Shard Alliance. So I also run that as well, a validator guild here within the Near ecosystem. And then, just was looking at, what I could do to help foster the Near ecosystem. And I always wanted to create, an app. And Cheddar was something that was in the back of my mind for a long time. And so I just contacted some of the other key contributors in Near and said, hey, I have this idea. Are you guys interested? And they said yes. So that was kind of the formation. So it's our first foray into a real app. But I built some other tools on Near, some basic validator tools and things like that.
Mm-hmm. I see. And maybe you can also touch a bit on Open Shard Alliance as well.
Yeah, so the Open Shard Alliance, we're actually running our own network there. So the genesis is that from Stake Wars, which was the staking competition where Near was looking for the original validators on Near, there were only 100 seats available, and more people were joining all the time and wanting to get into Stake Wars. So Stefano Pepe and I had an idea to create another network that we could kind of foster and get people moved over to, and that network became GuildNet. So right now, I think we've got maybe 30 plus validators over there. We're actually in the process of, taking that and making that utility token. We're going to create a utility token. It'll have its own token, its own tokenomics, and we'll be recruiting DApp developers to kind of have that as a home for the initial dev for their DApps. And so we've got a kind of a strategy and plan there to really grow that network as kind of a incentivized test net within the Near ecosystem. So more details later this year on that. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I forgot that. If you want to learn to become a validator on Near, the Open Chart Alliance is a great place to start and learn the ropes. We're coming out with a boot camp later this year to really help Near reach their goals of onboarding 500 additional or 400 additional validators here in the near future. So we'll have a boot camp program to put folks through there.
Interesting. Sounds like it will like work really nicely. Where basically, on one hand, you're already preparing people there, and you kind of like doubling down on this educational kind of aspect, and then on the other hand, Near is launching this multi-shard, and seats will be available, and so it kind of like works together really well.
Exactly.
That's awesome. And then to come back to Cheddar, so from my understanding, it helps with a couple different things such as long-term user engagement, DApp connectivity, cross-chain hopping. How do you think about those things? Maybe you can like double down on some of this.
Yeah, so one of the things when all these chains first started coming online, it was a natural tendency to jump around, right? So the DApp or the DApp of the day or the flavor of the day, you ape into that, right, with DeFi, and you try to make some money, and then you leave, and then a new chain launches, you jump over there, you try to make some money and leave. So really the idea behind Cheddar is we want to keep that TVL on Near and find ways to promote the Near ecosystem that would keep users engaged and keep folks on Near. And so that's kind of what the premise is behind Cheddar, is to limit some of that cross-chain jumping and some of those things. And it may be that eventually we do take Cheddar to other chains, but right now our focus is Near primarily in building this Near ecosystem of the app. So one of the things that people find challenging is they'll come into the Near ecosystem and they'll say, okay, what can you do here, right? And so a lot of folks don't know where all the apps are. And the Nearverse is expanding so fast, I'm even having trouble keeping track now. So one of the ideas behind Cheddar is it could be kind of one of those integration points or launch pads for DApps, so people could come and find out what's going on in the Near ecosystem and then use Cheddar to integrate those DApps, keep those DApps engaged with different users, and even finding utility with the Cheddar token between DApps so that it might be one more point to foster that engagement instead of just having an individual token that people look at and there's no other additional value. So we really see it as a boost to DApps, and that's our hope.
Mm-hmm. And maybe you can also touch on what are the power ups, what are the boosts, discounts, VIP access.
So it depends on the partner, but as we've been talking to folks, we're and that are interested in integrating Cheddar, we've just asked them how could you use it. So one of the partners we're working with right now is Croncat, and they think that they'll be able to use Cheddar initially as a discount. So if you come in and you subscribe to the Croncat service, and if you had Cheddar tokens, you might be able to use that to provide a little bit of a discount for your service there. Other potential use cases is, let's say that you're in a game and you want an extra little boost. Cheddar's going to have specific tokens or NFTs that you can either earn or purchase. And once you have those, you can then use those in another DApp to give you a little bit of a power up. So that's one of the things that we're looking at on the power up side. And then as far as payments, we actually have in the Meta Buildle hackathon right now a bounty out there for someone to build a NEP 141 payment system for DApps overall. And then what we'd like to do is integrate that so that if you go into a DApp, you can pay for something with Cheddar itself. So that would be the payment part of it.
Nice. I see. That's cool. And maybe you can walk us also through some use cases for Cheddar, like what you encounter so far.
Yeah, so I mean, we're still working to get live, but the use cases that really we're looking at is that you'll be able to, use that for a discount, use it for a payment, use it for a power up. We'll also have some burn mechanisms built into Cheddar, so we're hoping that some of our partners will burn Cheddar. Cheddar has an unlimited supply. We're initially launching with about 20 million tokens. Only about 2.3 million of those will be actually minted. And then we're going to use Sputnik DAO to manage the rest of the minting through the community so that they can decide if a partner makes sense. One of the other utilities that we're looking at is we'll build what we call the Cheddar Farm. That's where DApps and new projects coming to near can come and launch their token. So if they want to basically, let people, stake Cheddar or another token to then gain their token, they can do that. So we'll have a yield farm there as well. But it's more focused on, I think, token launches instead of doing, a lot of APYs and APRs. We'll have some of those, but we really want to launch tokens and help support tokens throughout the nearverse. So out of the gate, what we plan to support are things like bananas from Berry Club. So Berry Club's been out there a long time, and we want to give people more utility for their bananas. So you'll be able to come to the Cheddar Farm and put your bananas in there and earn cheddar. And then we're looking at other ones like Refinance, Skyward, ST Near. That's going to be a big one, right? As people have moved their liquidity over there and staked it, they're going to want to use their ST Near. So we plan to integrate that to the Cheddar Farm as well.
That's cool. And what do you also thinking about a roadmap?
So a roadmap, really what we have is we have kind of what we're calling phase 0 is launch the free community farm. So what we're going to do is for 20 days, anyone within the Nearverse with Near will be able to come to the Cheddar Farm. They'll be able to stake their Near and they'll be able to farm Cheddar for free. So that's how we're going to distribute the token initially. So that we're calling that phase 0. So if you stake one Near after 20 days, you'll get one Cheddar in return. So that'll be how that works. So we'll run that. We'll broadcast that out to the Nearverse and beyond, and hopefully we get a lot of support on that. During the time that that's taking place, we'll be ready to launch P1. So after the Cheddar Farm closes after 20 days, we'll be looking to launch what we're calling phase 1. Phase 1 for us is the farms like bananas, Refinance, ST Near, being able to allow folks to come in there and really get cheddar with those existing tokens that they have. During that point, we'll be really working on our partnerships, trying to get some partnerships solidified so you have ways to use cheddar and get that utility moving right out of the gate. And then into phase 2, we're looking at more of the automated market maker. So one of our founders is also the creator of NearSwap. So we're kind of deciding right now, we're going to use NearSwap and integrate that to the Cheddar Farm, or we're going to get a tighter partnership with Refinance and do it that way. So we're looking at those things. And then that really is phase 2. Phase 3 is rolling out the DAO more to all the Cheddar holders. How do we let them have voting power within the DAO? Right now, we've got a community board. So if you were, basically someone that was a key contributor within Near, we invited you to help us test Cheddar early on. And we've got about 36 of those people that are part of the DAO right now. So they'll be voting on early proposals and getting things going. And they actually just voted to launch the Cheddar Genesis. So that just got approved.
Nice. And when is that happening?
So the Genesis has been approved, and actually the first Cheddar token was minted on mainnet, and it went to the Cheddar Genesis DAO. So it went to the DAO. So the DAO owns the actual first Cheddar token. And then one of the team members over this week will be minting the rest of the 2.4 million tokens that we have allocated. Some of those will go to the team, some of those will go to our contributor fund. For those that have helped us test Cheddar and do those things, we're going to give them an airdrop. And then after that, we'll be looking to schedule the date to actually launch the Cheddar Farm very soon and get that free community farm out there. And we anticipate that to take place this month. So that's what we're working towards.
Nice. And how big is the team today?
So the team right now is 3 people, and we've got a couple other folks that help us test and edit documentation and things like that, but still a pretty small team.
Got it. I see. And is there anything else about community launch and community distribution that our audience should know?
We really wanted to support ST Near out of the gate because we have a lot of requests for that, but unfortunately, we won't be able to do that. And the free community farm will just have Near. So if you have Near available that you can unstake and put in the Cheddar Farm for the free community farm, you'll be able to, get some free Cheddar. There'll be other ways in the future, I'm sure, but that's what we have now. And then we'll launch ST Near a little bit later. So I know folks will be not so enthusiastic about that, but that's just where we are in the development life cycle. So,
Mm-hmm. Okay. And overall, how did you decide to work on this particular idea versus others? Like, was there a particular process for you to kind of like evaluate what you want to work on, or was Cheddar something you just like? There was once you heard about it, there was like no way to kind of.
Cheddar is a little bit interesting because here in the States, we call money cheddar. And so that's kind of what the original genesis of the idea was, is that, okay, cheddar, it's a cool name. A lot of people, are familiar with it. So, but then, to look at a lot of the legalities, we decided to make it a utility token. And if you're going to have a utility token, then it makes good sense to, have that be something that could be used throughout the Nearverse. And so then we thought, okay, well, let's find the utility for this token. And the utility we came up with is let's promote DApps, let's promote your DApps. And so that's kind of where that genesis came from. And we really just, that's the idea we ran with. That's the idea we presented. And the other aspect is, I think that what we did is we applied for a grant through the foundation. And so what we're also delivering with Cheddar is an open source framework for people to launch other projects. So all of our token contracts and our farm contracts, those will be open source. So you'll be able to fork those and launch your own farms and your own tokens. So that was the other thing. We wanted to build a stack for DeFi that folks could fork and use to grow DeFi on Near. So that's kind of Cheddar is the first implementation of that.
How do you generally spend the time, like daily or weekly, to keep up to speed on everything that's happening?
Yeah, so I basically I keep tabs on Twitter. I'm still subscribed to Google News as a real conduit for information. I sign up to newsletters throughout the crypto space and join those. Try to attend AMAs when I can, but I'd say my main funnels are Twitter. Things like CoinDesk and all of those publications that are out there, those news sources. Cointelegraph. I look at those frequently. So those are what I do to stay up to date in crypto in general. And then I do go out and I play around on other networks occasionally because I think it's good to see what's going on out there, and so we can make sure that whatever we're doing on Near, we have some modeling there so that when we onboard users, it's something they're familiar with. So that's what we've been trying to do with Cheddar is make it so that they're familiar with the idea and the concept to make onboarding smooth, So that's one of the things that I do. So just do a little bit of testing here and there.
Yep. What do you like so far the most about Near ecosystem?
Yeah, I think when I said onboarding of users onto DApps, that's one thing, but onboarding users onto Near through the Near wallet and just the ecosystem and the community, I think that those are the best aspects of Near. What I say about Near really is this: they have the best tech, a rock star team in general that helped start Near, and they have an awesome community. So if you're looking for somewhere to come and find a place to plug in, Near's a great ecosystem to do that. I think the community is pretty accepting overall. And, I think Near's going to flex its muscles in the next couple of years with the tech. We're kind of under the radar still because we're still finalizing some of the major pieces. But I think in this next year, Near's going to come on strong, next 1 to 2 years. So.
Yep. And on the other side of it, what do you think we can improve on just generally as ecosystem?
Yeah, so one of the things that I put forth, and I'm trying to give attention to it as part of everything else I'm doing within the ecosystem, is we need a portal, right? We need a portal that really people can come to and find out everything about Near, because as the Nearverse expands, it's moving so rapidly now that no one person understands where everything is, no one community understands. So we really got to create a portal that people can come to. The wallet is really the landing place for a lot of folks. But then from there, we need to take them to the portal, and let them discover, deep dive, get deeper into the Nearverse, jump off into other, areas of the Nearverse, and really. So the portal as a jump off point is something that I think is a critical priority. It's something I'm passionate about. I'm just a little bit limited on time right now, but we did get that launched. It's wiki.near.org, and we create a guild around it that we're trying to get moving to help populate, manage, maintain, and really execute the vision of that. Um, and then I think the second thing is, and I know the reasons we're doing these things, but really work on our marketing. If you go to any community, people, and you say the word Near, they don't know what it is, right? And so we have to really begin to market Near. And I think now that we're going to have a lot of the pieces in place, like I said, the best tech isn't always ready early, right? It's ready when it's ready. So we have the best tech in a lot of areas, and it's getting to the point of being ready. So I think that once we have that, then we got to really market Near aggressively.
Hmm. How do you also think about marketing in like Web3 space? It definitely feels like not quite what it is in like normal space. What do you think are some of the best ways to get the word out there?
Yeah, I think the key is through partnerships, right? So as soon as we start attracting big blue chips to Near, that's going to be a big component of it. One of the things that I like that the Phantom Foundation does, and Near's a little bit different, I think, with how we have our legal structure, but they're constantly posting about the new, contracts, the new approved grants, and things that are going on. And I think we need that kind of information flowing out. Who's onboarding on Near? What's in development? What key partnerships did we sign? And so right now we keep a lot of it underground, and I think some of it's due to maybe how we have our legality structured. But I think creating something like that where we're constantly putting out there on Twitter, hey, we've got this new app coming, we've got these things in work, there's been another grant approved to, upgrade Midbase or, whatever the case may be. And then maybe we get eventually community advocates. Maybe one of our strategies is we go into other networks, into other discords, and, we just have people naturally network with people, right? I mean, I think the whiteboard series are fantastic that the team did originally, and keeping the focus on those things and would be really powerful. So, but just to sum that back up, I think in general we got to have a bigger presence on Twitter. We got to get those partnership announcements, those grant announcements, those app announcements. We got to get that more fluid going out there.
Yeah, that's really helpful.
More Cointelegraph, right? We need Cointelegraph. We need CoinDesk. We need more interviews from them, right? Near.
That's right. And how do you think about the portal itself? Like there is this wiki.near.org. There are a couple other like websites out there, for example, like Awesome Near. Still, there is Near Week, right? That is kind of like summary of what's happening across the ecosystem. Then there is also stats.gallery, where you can kind of look at some analytics around different accounts and things like that. A little bit of reputation starting to emerge there. So, what do you think would make kind of like ideal portal? What is portal to you?
Yeah, the portal is the launch pad, right? So all of those things are the pieces of the ecosystem. The portal is a place you come to get the overview of what's happening in the nearverse. And then when you want to dive on a certain deep dive on a specific topic or section or docs, or you need training or you need learning, or you want to join a guild, all of those things are there and you can deep dive into them. But like Newsweek, we've talked about a little bit, having Newsweek just post their link within the portal of the Newsweek. If we could get all the news media outlets within the Nearverse funneling up to a news section and just posting their link, then people could come to one place and find that. And so I think that's the same thing with Near Awesome and all these other great tools that are out there. The portal should be the place you go to find out where the stuff is in Near.
Hmm.
An index, a directory. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of missing in a way.
I'm trying to think of what back in the old days when we did SEO, was it Moz, the directory that we went to, you go to Moz and you have all the categories and hierarchies and all of these things. I mean, it maybe needs to be a little bit cleaner than that and rolled up a little bit, but that's what I think of it as in general. How do I go there and get the highlights of the Nearverse? When's the next town hall? What events are coming up in the Nearverse that I could join? What AMAs are going on? And not one individual or not one group could maintain that, but as a collective, if we had all the guilds and everybody maintaining their sections within the portal, it would be a very powerful tool, and that's really what we're working on.
That's right.
So we've got this concept of I don't know, we're calling them kind of like curators, where you can curate information, and then you can own a section of the portal. You could be kind of the head over that. So it's still in work, but yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I was just presenting yesterday in Vietnamese community, so like I'm seeing like quite a few very strong communities with a lot of engagement, like Chinese, Vietnamese, Russian. There are like plenty of others too. Um, and I wish though, yeah, there was a way to kind of for people to even know that this all exists.
Yeah, that's the tough thing. It's expanding so fast now, right? I mean, the speed is accelerating.
That's right. Yeah, it's very hard to keep up. I agree. Do you have potentially any parting words of advice for the audience, for people who are like maybe crypto curious but not quite jumped into the space? What would you say to people like this?
Yeah, so what I'd say is, I see Web3 and blockchain as the next evolution, right? It's the way that things work, right? As time has progressed, we had web applications, and those web static websites became databases, and then we created more complex, tooling around those websites. And Web3, I feel like, is the next level of that. So if you're in the technology space, it's natural fit and migration to get, I think, into Web3. If you're new, it's pretty much like learning everything else, right? It's like when you learn to use the internet for the first time or Google or those things. So I think that, if now is a great time to get in because it's still pretty young, but there's definitely a learning curve. But I think that, it's much like everything else, it'll have adoption over the coming years. And um, so the near ecosystem to me is a great place to jump in, right? It's a great place to meet people. It's a great place to engage and to learn. And I think it's a very friendly community. So a lot of folks could find a home here.
Hmm. And where people can find more information about Cheddar online?
Yeah, so if you want to look into Cheddar a little bit more, cheddar.farm is the website. So you can just head over to cheddar.farm, and we've got some basic information there. We're not live yet, but we plan to be this month. So that's the goal.
Well, thank you for coming today. That was really informative.
Yeah, thank you.